I'm Adina Savin. I'm an Executive Vice President in charge of business affairs for the worldwide Disney channels and our television animation studio. I've been fascinated with ancient Egypt, going all the way back to the Passover story that we used to celebrate when I was a little girl. Found it absolutely fascinating. It was on my bucket list when I got older, one day to go to Egypt. A friend told me that this was the most amazing place to go and to take a swan's tour of Egypt. And I went. And I was on a British tour boat, so I started reading books on the trip. I started asking lots of questions. I think that's when it really became an obsession as opposed to just an interest. I had never heard of ARCE before. You were doing an annual conference in Toronto, and I started studying hieroglyphs. And all of a sudden, I was just immersed in it. So Eddie Blyberg, who's now a doctor and a philologist, and who works at the Brooklyn Museum, was my teacher. And for 2 to 3 years, once a week, I was studying hieroglyphs and learning how to translate. I feel like the greatest thing about ARCE is, first of all, that it's all about Egyptology. Almost everything I know about Egyptology I really learned by being a sponge. Queen Hatshepsut is a fascination of mine, like probably a lot of other people. The New Kingdom is my favorite period. And at some point, at one of the conferences, I met Dr. Ryan. He thought he was about to discover Queen Hatshepsut's original tomb in the Valley of the Kings. And I spontaneously, with no intention beforehand, volunteered. It took 6 months to get me qualified to join the expedition as the photographer. I arrive at midnight in Luxor. There's a message waiting for me saying, "We think we just found the entrance to a long-lost tomb. Call me right now if you want to get up at 5 a.m. and be one of the first people to walk through the entrance after 100 to 150 years in which nobody's been there." So, well, you know what I did. My very first day working on the dig, we cleared away the rest of the debris. There was an entrance, all because of ARCE and Egyptology. I helped excavate 2 mummies. The entire country is still full of unknown treasures and a cultural history that's unparalleled in the history of the Western world. But I do think is an important mission for ARCE to continue is we started running field schools to train Egyptians on how to be conservators and how to be archaeologists and how to do the real work that has to be done by them because they live there and it's their heritage as much as anybody else's who comes as a visitor. I would love to see that continue. I think it's a huge priority. And you know, in some ways we're taking still from Egypt when we go. This is a way to give back. And I think that's just incredibly important. Egypt will survive only if everybody wants to protect what's there. I would love to see everybody go to Egypt at least once. Although I've encouraged a lot of people to go. I warn them all, if you go though, you're in trouble because if you fall in love, it's going to be a lifetime passion.